Hello everyone, welcome back to Odds Now for another Euro 2024 betting preview. We're on Thursday this week now. We're on to the second round of fixtures in the group stage. You can see I'm joined by Matt on screen. He's going to talk us through the three matches today. Before we do that, be sure to like this video, and subscribe to the channel for all of our betting content. We're going to be producing content throughout the tournament, both here and on our website as well, oddsnow.com. So go over there for all the written content too. Like I said, there's 3 games today. We'll dive straight into them. Slovenia versus Serbia coming up first, Matt, 2 p.m. In the UK time anyway. Do you want to talk us through that? What are you feeling for this game?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad. Probably the least attractive fixture on paper today, you would say, but doesn't mean that it will necessarily disappoint, I don't think. Both teams got off to far from perfect starts at the tournament, although Slovenia will probably be really happy with their point against Denmark. I think many fancied Denmark to roll them over there. And they were kind of second best for a lot of that contest, but they stayed in it, sucked up a lot of pressure from the Danes, who were quite wasteful. And then they finished really, really strongly. Could have easily nicked that game in the end, actually. And that point gives them a real chance of qualifying now, because they face a Serbia side who started with defeat, and it was quite a tame first half performance from Serbia against England. They certainly improved after the break, but for all the criticism that England received in the wake of that match and all the praise for Serbia in the second half, they did only muster 1 shot on target in that entire contest. So for a team that we've purred over their attacking talents in the build-up to this tournament, I thought that was a very disappointing return from Serbia, and they were missing that killer final ball, albeit against a strong opponent in England. So they will fancy their chances of creating more chances in this contest. I was surprised to see Dusan Tadic benched against England. He's probably their most creative force in midfield, and he is the captain traditionally. So I think, given the way it started and finished against England, we can expect Tadic to maybe come back into the starting lineup here, and he should give Serbia a little bit of extra bite going forward in this contest. But Slovenia are a team who are more than happy to soak up pressure, sit deep, and they really enjoy defending. And then they have a real threat in attack. Benjamin Sesko, the obvious name, he had a really lively performance against Denmark, actually struck the post from distance as well. But Sporar as well offers a real outlet over the top with long balls, and don't be surprised to see Slovenia trying that again. They had a lot of joy with that later on against Denmark, going over the top. And this Serbia defence normally enjoys a physical battle, but they could find themselves a little bit short of pace at times. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch pan out tactically. Quite a tough one to call, in my opinion. I'm not in a rush to try and call who wins this contest. Serbia have the greater quality in terms of players, but Slovenia are probably the better organised. And I did think about both teams to score as a potential angle here, because Serbia have not kept many clean sheets at all. I think they've conceded in 10 of their last 12 games. But the angle I've actually chosen to go down is the fouls route, because both of these teams very physical. Slovenia 12 fouls in their game with Denmark, Serbia 19 against England. So that was a startlingly high number. And I'm keen to get on side with both teams to commit fouls in this one, because there's a little bit of historical grudge here as well. Both of these former Yugoslav nations, they have met 4 times in recent years, and 3 of those have seen absolute card fests. One was the outlier there, but there is an edge to this game. I don't really want to be back in the cards market at this tournament, because there's been a real lack of cards, generally speaking. The referees have obviously been briefed to try and keep the cards in their pockets as much as possible, which is good stuff, but not great from a betting perspective. So I would also give that as a bit of a word of warning for anyone doing bet builders where they're adding cards on. You do need to be careful, because the referees are definitely erring on the side of caution in these early matches. But no, it was the fouls I wanted to play, and I looked at the overs and unders lines, and BetVictor have got over 27 fouls in this game, priced up at not far shy of 3-1, which I thought was really, really fair, because, as I say, Serbia 19 fouls in their first game. They're going to be in hard from the start here, trying to make an impact. And I could just see it being one of those bitty games where it doesn't really flow. And while I like to get cards on side, foul seems the safer line, and I think this line is a really generous one. So that will be my pick in the first game.
Okay, moving on to the second game in Group C, a game which we'll all have eyes on, certainly on this side of the pond. Denmark versus England. England, like you said, got off to a winning start against Serbia in their first match. Denmark held to a 1-0 draw by Slovenia. What are your feelings going into this one, Matt?
Well, my feelings are I want an England win, definitely. But no, if I take my own bias out of this, it's another interesting clash, a repeat of the semi-final at Euro 2020, the delayed Euro 2020, of course. I think it's fair to say that Denmark were in a better place then than they are now.
Yeah.
The bit of feeling coming into this tournament, this is a bit of an aging crop, and they may be in a bit of a transition phase. This, could be the last tournament for a lot of experienced heads in this side. Kasper Schmeichel, the goalkeeper, is at the back end of his career now. Simon Kjær, who didn't even play in the first game, despite being their captain, he seems to be on the way in at AC Milan. And Christian Eriksen, well, we would say that he's going towards the twilight of his career, but it was a masterful performance from Eriksen against Slovenia. It was good to see him back at his very best, dictating player. He had 5 shots in that game, which was actually the most of any player in the first round of matches. And I don't think many would have seen that coming, really. But that probably gives an indication of how much time and space he was afforded by Slovenia to dictate the game. I don't really see him getting that against England. Obviously, plies his trade in England. English players will be very aware of how Eriksen operates. Very dangerous if you allow him to get on the ball, but possibly not the quickest and the fittest. So, getting around him in that midfield, and you think of the legs that England have in that midfield area with Rice, Bellingham, etc. I'm not sure he's going to get the time on the ball that he so desires. They do have other threats in this Denmark team. I wonder if Kasper Hjulmand might be tempted to change things up a little bit after the draw with Slovenia. A lot of experience to come in from the bench, like Mæhle, Poulsen, Norgard, all these kind of household names that we've been used to seeing for Denmark over the years could come in. But do they really offer anything new to the dynamic? I'm not so sure. I think England will be very aware of the threat that Denmark pose. We'll probably need to see a little bit more from Rasmus Højlund. He had one chance he should have scored against Slovenia, but other than that, his link-up play was good, but his direct attacking threat was a bit lower than we're used to seeing, and he's going to have a really strong game here because Denmark are going to be soaking up a lot of pressure. You can imagine he's going to get balls put in behind for him on the counters, try and exploit. Mark Guehi had a fantastic game, in my opinion, against Serbia, and he'll be relishing this task against Højlund, somebody he's played against in the Premier League. Crystal Palace recently beating Man United 4-0. Will that play a bit of a factor there? Guehi, Højlund didn't have a sniff that night, so that could be an interesting dynamic to watch. But no, I think this game suits England. I know that historically Denmark have been a troublesome opponent for them, but I think England will do this with a degree of comfort. The furore around England underperforming in the second half was somewhat valid, but equally they only gave up 1 shot on target. So as much as it felt like they were under pressure, it wasn't like Jordan Pickford was having to perform heroics to keep them ahead. They were relatively untested in terms of actual threatening shots. So I see England winning this game. I don't see it being a goal fest. Denmark have still got a lot of experience in the ranks, particularly in the back line. So I think 1 or 2 goals will probably get it done. You could back England to win with under 3.5 goals in the match at an odds against quote of 6-5. And that means that even if it ends up being a 2-1 to England, you're still on a winning bet there. So it covers a lot of angles that I like. That's kind of how I see the game panning out. Again, might not be a classic. There might be a bit of a disappointing reaction from some corners in England about the lack of attacking flair and how it's not quite clicking. But ultimately, I see them getting another 3 points on the board and sealing their place with Germany in the last 16.
Okay, and now on to the third and final game of Thursday. I think it's probably, if we put our English bias aside, the most intriguing of the 3. As you can see on the screen there, Spain versus Italy in Group B. Do you want to talk us through that one, Matt?
Spain and Italy, yeah, 2 powerhouses of European football, and this would be a lovely pudding after the main course of England-Denmark, I think, for us over on this side of the pond. I'm looking forward to watching this one. Might have to wind down on the beers by this point, though, if I want to get up in the morning. This has got all the makings of a really entertaining contest. Obviously, Spain winning quite comfortably against Croatia, certainly on the scoreline. They were 3-0 up at half-time, and it looked like a bread-and-butter victory. But anyone that watched that match will know that Croatia definitely should have been on the score sheet themselves, very wasteful going forward, and that's a theme that they've actually continued against Albania yesterday. So I don't know if we've seen this Spain defence fully tested, and there was a couple of alarming moments, particularly after kickoff in the games after they'd scored, where Croatia just seemed to carve through the middle of them, and that would worry me a little bit if I was a Spain backer, that they may have a little bit of a fragile underbelly that we haven't yet seen. I know they played a friendly with Brazil, which finished 3-3, and that was like some fantastic attacking play in that game, but also some car crash defending as well. So I'm a little bit still reserved about Spain defensively, it must be said. But they're not going to face an Italy team who are coming to attack. Italy, we all know what Italy like to do, sitting in their shape, make it frustrating. They can play some good football, but this isn't a vintage Italian crop. We all know that. I mean, they're not being talked about as potential winners, despite being the reigning champions. Looking at Italy's first game, they couldn't have started any worse to their defence of the title, really. 30 seconds and they were behind against Albania. Don't think anybody really saw that coming. As it was, they very quickly rectifies that situation. They were 2-1 up inside 15 minutes, and beyond that, they were very rarely troubled, managed to control the game. I would imagine they managed to preserve a lot of energy, as Spain did. We saw Spain make a lot of substitutions in the second half of their game, so that was helpful from their perspective. But I don't think Italy have really expanded their energy levels either. It's a difficult one to call this in terms of a winner. Spain were an odds-on quote yesterday, but there's been a lot of money for Italy in the last few hours, and I'm not surprised to see that. I thought they were a little bit big when they were touching up towards 3-1, especially with this being a group stage game where both teams have won their opener, so there's less pressure on. I think we could see an entertaining fixture here, both having a go, knowing that a loss isn't going to be critical to their qualification. Italy may well have done enough already with 3 points, but the way Croatia have played in their first two games, you'd expect Italy to maybe get something off Croatia as well. So they won't be panicking about their qualification. This might feel like a little bit of a free hit against a very well-fancied Spain side. And I think we might see a little bit more of Spain's weaknesses as well as their attacking brilliance here. And that's why I want to be with both teams to score yes. I was really surprised to see that no was odds on here and yes was odds, well, even money now. It was odds against, but it's now even money. I still think that's a fantastic price for both teams to score. We've seen the goals flow in this tournament more than a usual tournament. Teams are playing with a lot more attacking freedom, and I think given both won their first contest, this could be a really entertaining, fun end-to-end affair. And as I say, reservations about the Spanish defence, so more than happy to back both teams to score at a generous even money.
Okay, that concludes our preview for the three matches. We can see Matt's best bets on screen now for those three games. Do you want to just run over those again quickly, Matt, before we conclude the video?
Yeah, so 11-4 with BetVictor on the match fouls line for Slovenia, Serbia. They've got multiple lines up, so that's why I'm going there. I think the general line for the sort of even money is around 23, 24 fouls, but I see this being a bitty contest, as I say, and the historical tensions between the two should mean there's plenty of hard tackles going in and late trips. That's how I see this game being anyway. And I'm struggling to predict the winner. So that's why I want to go down that route. And I think it's a very generous price. England to beat Denmark and under 3.5 goals. This would be my safest bet of the day, I think. This is just how I see this game panning out, quite frankly. I'm not sure Denmark have enough to overhaul this England side, particularly, a defensive-minded England side. I didn't see enough from Denmark to think that they were going to carve England open repeatedly. They may get a goal, but I think England will do enough without doing too much, just as they did against Serbia. And then an entertaining affair I'm predicting in the last game, even money about both teams to score in Spain versus Italy. And I'm going to have a little go on the treble as well, which is coming in at just over 15-1. I think if you get them fouls up in the first game, then you've got a great chance of landing a full house. And that's why I want to be on the treble. Just the point will do me at 15.5-1 with BetVictor.
Okay, very well spoken through there, Matt. Good luck to everyone else. If you are playing today, we've had a couple of winners over our last couple of days, so fingers crossed that winning streak can continue here. Thank you for watching the video. Like I said at the start of the video, please go and check out the rest of the channel. We're pumping out daily content for the Euros throughout the tournament, and also on our website, www.oddsnow.com, for the written content there too. Let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments, and we will see you in the next video for another daily betting briefing. Sorry.